Today's curiosity is assisted by Night Owl Le Shop Stout from Le Shop Brasserie in Winnipeg. Another beer that chooses not to include any tasting notes, it just calls itself a strong beer. But the Night Owl theming seemed appropriate for what I'm about to take apart, which is this night vision unit that I did an unboxing and look at a few videos back. I'll put a link to that up there. But since the sponsor considers our business completed, I have no obligation, implied or otherwise, to not take this thing apart. There's one thing especially that I would like to learn about this thing, and that is about the charging system. Because you may recall, for a reason that couldn't be explained, for some reason, with no battery in this thing is drawing almost 300 milliamps and has the charging icon shown on the screen. So I guess the screen could be pulling some of that power, but what is it charging if the battery is not in it? The battery's right here. Oh, and there's one more screw hiding down in there. Okay. Somehow one of those didn't pop out, but we'll deal with that later, I think. I hope. Oh, is that gonna do it? Come open. There we go. Bottom comes off. Battery compartment is the only thing on the back of there. Oh, it's no plug. It's just soldered directly to the board. That's kind of cheap. So looking down in here, we have a flat flex cable that goes off to the screen. We have just a single pair of wires on a plug that goes off to the infrared illuminator back in there. We have another flat flex going up to the camera module there. Not quite sure what that's doing. That is the SD card slot with a little foam backer on top of it. We have the USB connector. We have a little reset button hidden behind a hole there. That's nice to see. We have a system on chip. We have a couple of other support chips around it, and not that much else on this side of the board. So it looks like there are a few other little screws on there holding that board in. I'm not going to undo any of the connectors right now. I just want to flip it up and see if there's anything important looking on the other side of the board. Then we'll get to trying to figure out what's drawing all this current. I think that should loosen this up enough to come out. I hope. Is there something else hiding in there? Maybe I will pop that SD card out. Might be holding it up, I don't know. Oh, that just shot across the room. We will cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, that's got it coming up a little bit. Uh-oh, what's that? Oh, that is a wee microphone that was stuffed in the front there. I didn't notice it earlier. Okay. Well, annoyingly, those flat flex connectors were being stubborn. I didn't want to damage them. But on this side, it looks like we've just got a few passives, maybe a couple of 6-pin devices. Nothing major. And, of course, the push buttons. So we'll just set that back down. I guess first we'll figure out what these major chips are if we can, just for curiosity, and then we'll figure out what's going on with this power situation. This main chip is a Novatec NT96675MPG. Well, my searching doesn't come up with much that is of a great amount of use to me. The closest that I can come up with is this page here, which Google Translate translates to this. So basically, they are a manufacturer of system on chip stuff, flat panel drivers, various different things like that. But we already knew it was a system on chip. Unfortunately, without a better understanding of Chinese, I am pretty much stymied, even with Google Translate. So sitting beside it, there's these two chips here. This one doesn't appear to have any markings on it at all. And this one is a Winbond 25Q32, which to nobody's surprise is a serial flash ROM chip. Exactly what you'd expect to be hanging out right beside a system on chip. So now with that out of the way, let's focus a little bit more on the power section over here. A couple of diodes, 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of, well, those aren't transistor packages, those are like 5-pin packages, and then there's this little 8-pin dude here, which is an LP5304, I think. Yes, that is the correct number. This is an overvoltage protection device. It protects the load when any of the input voltages are over the threshold. Sure, or over temperature, I guess. Okay. That's a reasonable thing to have right beside the USB interface. Other than that, we have a couple of diodes. We have this MOSFET here, marked A19T, which is a P-channel MOSFET. We have these two guys up here, which I cannot identify. Well, maybe if your Google Foo is better than mine, an S1WJ and an S5WJ. And then down here is the droid we've been looking for. That is an LTH7R, which is a lithium charge chip. More specifically, it's a constant current, constant voltage charging chip for single cell lithium batteries. There is a typical setup of it to set up the charge at 500 milliamps, which is probably what this one is doing if I remember correctly. Maybe a little bit lower. It's a very standard chip, and it shouldn't be drawing any current at all, or at least not any significant amount of current when it's not in use. Yeah, like microamps, nothing. So that's probably not our culprit either. Well, it's good to see that it has some charge protection. I guess the easiest way to tell is to use my thermal camera and plug this guy in and see what happens. Oh, we got a charging LED on there. That's good to see. Ooh, something's getting hot. What are you? That right there. Ah. So the main processor chip is running when it's just plugged in. It's slightly warm to the touch, but that explains why the screen is displaying here. Not quite sure why that LED is flickering so fast, so you can't see it. You may not be able to see this on camera, but there's two LEDs there. That one is blue to my eye and solid on. This one is, I'm not sure, you'll have to tell me, but it is flickering, and not steady state flickering. It's flickering kind of the way something that's tracking data would be flickering, like a modem light or something like that. So there's communication going on here. So it appears that while this thing is charging, the main chip is alive and it is doing all kinds of stuff. That is weird. Normally, you wouldn't expect a thing that's just sitting, not doing any real work, to be drawing almost 300 milliamps. And then when we'd actually drop the battery in, what was that? That was 290, right? That's the positive end of the battery. So we drop that in, 420 milliamps. So that's not the 500 that the charge chip can do, but maybe this cell is fully charged or close to it already. Still, that's more going to running the overhead than there is going into the battery. I wouldn't call that ideal exactly. Oh, one thing I've noticed now that the battery is in, or maybe it was just a coincidence, but that LED that was flickering is no longer flickering. They're both solid on steady state. But this is still happening just like before. Let's see how much it draws when we turn it on. There we go. There, it's lit up. It's complaining that there's no SD card. I plug the charge cable back in again. Still okay with, yeah, it's still okay with that. Now it's drawing pretty much the same thing. So except for the menu system and stuff, it's all running internally when it's charging. That doesn't seem right to me. But I'm not the one that, oh, and unplugging it turns it off. It was a graceful shutdown. It didn't have to turn off because the battery's there. Weird. Weird. Well, I'm going to put this thing back together and go looking for that SD card that launched out of it, because it is somewhere back there, I think. Anyway, that was just a quick teardown and investigation of this thing. It's an okay device, like I said in the previous video, but now that the sponsor's not watching, it has its drawbacks. Obviously, it has its drawbacks. That is one that still confuses me. I don't know why it feels the need to run the full system while it's just charging the battery and idle, but whatever. That's an engineering decision that they made. Anyway, yeah, just a quick little curiosity teardown video. Thanks for watching. Questions or comments down below. As always, I'll talk to you later.